Okay, I'm going to show you how a AC works. Okay, so we've got essentially three components to an AC system. Okay, your heater component right here, called the cabinet, also houses your blower, which essentially sucks the air through the system. So your HVAC or AC system, HVAC and heat system, work like a lung, okay? It breathes and exhales, okay? It's just the cooling is done by the effect of chemical, which is Freon. Okay, that is the new type of Freon that is now to be used. Okay, the old kind of Freon is the R22, which was taken out of this unit safely because this is an old unit. So that's your circuit board, your capacitor. That sucks the air through the return, okay? Passes through the system on the other side of that blower, or that right there, that bracket, okay? It obviously, when the heat's on, it exchanges chemical gas, which has to be vented through that pipe. There's another pipe here that goes outside through usually the attic, attic roof, or the roof of your house. Okay, when that goes through, if the heat's on, this is what heats your house. This is a gas heater. Okay. Then if the cool's on, the air just goes through this. This is not on, but it still goes through there, and it passes through your coil or your evaporator coil. That evaporator coil uses chemicals to exchange the heat. It takes out the humidity. The humidity has to go somewhere. Takes out about, I think, 8 to 10 gallons of water out of your house a day. I could be wrong. That water has to flow down in this pan and go out somewhere. That's called your primary line. Your primary line is what drips the water constantly throughout the day when your unit's on into typically a bathroom or a bathroom sink, under the plumbing underneath the sink. Okay, you typically won't even know it's happening. Now the secondary line is if this overflows and goes out into your secondary pan, which isn't here, and then you have a secondary line which is in your pan, which goes out. It's called your tattletale. That's dripping to the outside, and that tells you that your primary is clogged and you need to go ahead and have somebody unclog the line, because if that secondary clogs, then it's going to start going into your house ceiling. So that line would need to be unclogged. Usually there's a T-post and you would unclog it that way, or you could put some bleach down there to maintain it so it doesn't clog. Now, you could also put what's called a watchdog or a float valve on your secondary drain pan, which you always see is underneath the unit, and that actually will float the valve or the ball up and kill your unit completely, which obviously then you'll know there's a problem, but it will stop flooding your house if it starts to get over that drain pan line. It kills the unit. Called a float valve or a watchdog. Okay? Now, how does it exchange the heat? It does it via a compressor, condensing unit. Okay? This is what exchanges the heat. This is why if you put your hand over the top of a running unit, it should feel hot or warm air. How do you test the AC when it's an inspector? Typically, one of the things they do is they test the air coming in the return, and then they retest the air coming out of the coil. This is where your plenum or your ductwork should be. and that's called your delta T. It should be between 18 and 21 degrees, depending. Called your delta T. This unit is an R22, an old unit. That Freon isn't being used anymore.